Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
TV conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have an incredible guest coming on today. I have been fortunate to be on Brian's show, Brian Sebastian, and he's the host, he's a producer of movie reviews and more, so stay tuned. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many, many more. I want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills Luxury Watches and Fine Jewelry at craigshelley.com. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Brian Sebastian. Brian, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me on. It's very, very exciting to be here, to be on your show, because like I said, you're coming on our show in August. So I look forward to this.
So, Brian, you have an incredible show, which I was lucky enough to be on recently as well, movie reviews and more. You literally get millions of views and you get so much exposure for the artists and creatives that you bring on to your shows. I would like to just go back a little bit before we go in detail of what you do now. Take us down the journey of what led you to do what you do today in movie reviews and more.
Well, a lot of it came from home video, being in the home video world, being in a traditional radio world back in the day, and then taking those aspects that still apply to what we're all doing today. Everybody can do a podcast, but can anybody really do a podcast? And the answer is no. There's a lot of work. A lot of people don't know what it's like to do all that stuff. So taking that traditional of working in a video store, working before I started doing celebrity interviews for TV, radio at that point, whether it was for CNN or BET or filling in for my friends or being that lonely guy at the bottom, but just working your way up. And all I knew was that I was just going to outlast these people. That's what I knew. You got to wait some of these people out because they have these gatekeepers there and they don't want you to get ahead. Some of them don't understand what you're creating because they can't see your vision. And I'm sure you understand that. And a lot of times what you have to do, you have to go around them, go up over them, go underneath, and just wait them out. And then you just keep rising. And now I keep thinking back to some of these people who had no idea what I was doing. They knew I was doing something, but they couldn't see what I was doing because they were doing it the old way that worked then, that doesn't work now because the world has changed. It's one of those things where you're always creating things and you have to be able to have your vision because people won't believe in what they can't see, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense to me, Brian. When I first started, bear in mind, I had no skills in social media, entrepreneurship. I just had a huge vision. I knew what I wanted to do, and you will get those doubters, but you also get people that will try and drag you down from your vision because you scare people when you're trying to build something and you really want to do well for yourself. That can scare other people. And like you, I just got on with the work, and you do overtake people and outlast people when you have that vision and focus and perseverance. Just keep on going. And sometimes you might not feel as fast as others, but it's all about having that long-term vision and believing in yourself and your vision. Do you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things where I didn't realize until someone was telling me last night that I was always underestimated. I never used that word, but that's the correct word. And it was one of those things where I just looked at it like they didn't know what the hell I was looking at. I could see different things that other people couldn't see, if that makes sense. And I was always wondering, why isn't anybody else doing this? What, they can't see what I'm seeing? The answer was nope. They had no clue. They had that bigger outlet and they thought they were safe. And I said, so what happens after 20 years? If you've been there for 20 years, what happens? Do you get to keep your content? They go, no, it belongs to, like, for example, CNN. And I said, I'm not going to give them my content to any of these people. That doesn't make any sense. First of all, they don't need it. They're not going to use it correctly. I can always use it, and you always need it. And that's when I found out the stuff, because, traditional radio is using 30, 60 seconds, if you're lucky, 90 seconds of a 20-minute interview. What happened to the rest of that stuff? So I have one of my friends who was always in our radio roundtable rooms that we've got interviews, 20, 45-minute interviews of like a Russell Crowe or, Robin Williams, that's never been seen, never heard the light of day. All that content is coming to my YouTube channel, and I'm just going to put it up as in fold, whether it's Mrs. Doubtfire or The Night Listener. These are great interviews that have never been heard, because you would just take 30 or 60 or even 90 seconds of a clip of a soundbite, and that was it.
I agree totally with you. And actually, I wanted to bring something up off topic a little bit. We already mentioned I was really jealous that I'd seen you hanging around with Paris Hilton. Now, I'm scrolling my Instagram or Facebook the other day. Another one, Janice Dickinson.
Oh, all right.
I want to know about this.
All right. So that photo with Janice is trying to attack me. That's why she's hugging me like this. And I was just talking to them like I'm talking to you. For whatever reason, she wanted to just like attack me. And I don't know, maybe she wanted to have sex with me. I don't know, but I was scared at that point. I just wanted to make sure I'm going to interview you the next time, and that the next time you will see me, that we will have a relationship. So I always knew this, unless you had the phone number or email, which you weren't supposed to have at that point, you have to work to establish their trust. You've got to gain that. And that's not always easy. And then they're always meeting a lot of people. They may not always be coherent. They may have been going through stuff, but I always wanted to make sure that you remembered the last name Sebastian, that you remembered, oh yeah, I remember you. What's your name? Oh, Brian. Sebastian. Just call me Sebastian, because it was easier. Just think of the Little Mermaid and Sebastian. And then I'm like, oh, you're always here. What do you do? Because they never had any idea what we did. Now I tell people, back in the day, this is when I first interviewed you. You didn't know what we were doing, but now I can tell you what I'm doing, because my job now is to help you, because they're older and they don't always know how to make that transition, if that makes sense.
I am just very inspired. And what popped into my head then, Brian, when you said Sebastian, The Never-Ending Story. I don't know whether you've seen that film, but I'm sure he's named Sebastian. I'm showing my age now. So you have a wonderful show, movie reviews and more. I was so thrilled to be on the show. You're getting millions and millions of views, and that's what you are actually known for, getting the views, getting those artists the exposure and visibility that they deserve. So tell us all about your show and the idea behind the show.
The show, it was in 2008 when I was on our ranch, me and my partner. I knew nothing about horses. I knew nothing about a dressage ranch. It was one of those things where you've been doing interviews every day, every weekend, whether it was 90 degrees or it was like snowing. You're in a great hotel. The studios are spending thousands and thousands of dollars on us to get their word out on it, whether it's a good movie, bad movie, book, CD, TV show, or a personal project. And it's one of those things where I never took it for granted, because I'm like, I may never interview some of these people again. So I'm going to do whatever I can to be that best person that they remember, that someone knew their films, knew their CD, actually read the book, and I could just go without that. So that's where I was going to always stick out, because I knew these other people couldn't do it. They were just too busy running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on this. And then as time went on, I said, I'm going to model the show after Larry King, Howard Stern, Oprah, and Bill O'Reilly. And I'm going to be a mix of all of that stuff. Until today, we are a mix of all of that stuff. And then as time went on, I'm like, you know what? The world of dressage, women on horses, never got their due. Women in fitness never got their due. My biggest upload is on a mechanical horse called Luke. I think it's got like 69 or 70,000 views. And I couldn't understand why people are looking at that, but that world of dressage is huge. And then also the world of wrestling. You know, the second one is Layla Ali and Hulk Hogan. It's only a 4-minute interview. Layla is pregnant at that point. And Hulk Hogan is coming back with an NBC show called the Titans, of people training in fitness and doing stuff like that. And then one of the other ones was my friend Amber Lynn in the world of adult entertainment. It's just her sitting in a makeup chair, and I took out my flip camera and I'm just recording her as she's getting her makeup done. That's got, I think it was like 60,000 on it. So those three things on movie reviews and more should not even make sense. What does it have to do with movies? Well, it doesn't, but it's still about a different brand, company, a sport. And so I've said, I'm going to put all this stuff together. And so the more is become more important than the movie reviews. And it was always designed to be that way. And then you bring in certain co-hosts. I always wanted to do shows with just women. How could I help the women with their brand? Well, four of my co-hosts who've been on the shows with me for 6 years now, 2 of them. The other one's been around for 3 years. 2 of the shows that we have, one's got 1.1 million views and still counting. The other one's got 1.2 million views and still counting. It still goes up. And this is not even on YouTube. This is just out of Franklin, Tennessee on iTunes 247. So I put all that stuff together and I'm like, we're just going to go by the views. As you've heard me say before, you can always have a follower, but you can always unfollow that person. You can always like something, but turn around and I don't like it anymore. So I'm unliking this. And then you get the 30-day subscription for free. Okay, after that, I'm going to unsubscribe. But you can't unview or view. And that's my tagline when it comes to that. So always, if the NFL goes by views and the soccer goes by views, I'm going by views because that's where everything has to go because you can actually see that. So I literally will tell people where to go. See that in the right-hand corner? See that view? That's money right there. And that's what we need to have. So that's why I go by that.
Great advice as well. And what I like as well, what you mentioned, Brian, the more part, because it's all entertainment, right? So it's great having the movie reviews, but then it brings so much more value to the show that you are interviewing all different types of brands and personalities and entertainment worlds. And I think that is just making it even more value to tune into and watch. So just explain to us a little bit, Brian, when you're working with a client, what you do for them.
You know, our job is to help get that word out for them because you have to give voice to the voiceless. So whether it's an author, we've been speaking to a lot of authors through Hasmark Publishing out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So they love what we're doing. And a lot of those authors have become friends with us, where I like to share people's stuff. If you're putting something up, I share it on our Movie Reviews and More page. And sometimes we put them up on our personal page for Movie Reviews and More. So now we're creating a thing where best-selling authors, international best-selling authors are. I didn't know I was going to do that. So our authors are giving us credit for being best-selling authors. And I'm like, I can't take that much credit. I mean, I'm glad you'd like to come on the show, but I can't really say that we're helping you, but I'll take it. And the more that I see going on, they love coming on the show. I don't know why, but I do tell the girls, you got to play everything straight because people are watching you from around the world. You guys are public figures. Just because you don't have that blue check yet does not mean that you're not relevant, because our job is to help those people who cannot speak, to help those businesses that need help, because not everybody can go on a regular TV or radio, traditional, and spend thousands of dollars. So let's help those people, those brands that we can, because there's a lot of great companies that a lot of people don't know about around the world. And those are the companies that I want.
I think your passion just shines through, Brian, and that is why your guests love working with you, and that's why they love coming onto your show, because not only do you get them the visibility and the exposure that they deserve, you can tell you just love what you do and you're passionate about serving others. Brian, we're just going to a commercial break, so stay where you are. We are just going to a commercial break. We are joined with Brian Sebastian, producer, TV, radio host, social media influencer. He has gone from being underestimated, but having such a big vision, which has led him to being the host of the incredible movie reviews and more, which goes out and gets millions and millions of views. Join us after the commercial break. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. We are joined with Brian Sebastian. Brian is a producer, TV, radio host, social media influencer, and Brian was underestimated in his journey, but he had a huge vision. Now the host of the highly successful movie reviews and more that gets millions of views. He serves his client by helping them to get huge visibility and brand exposure. Brian, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. And I got to say something about Craig Shirley. I mean, I've never seen those watches. I actually want to get one of those, and I don't even wear watches. I want to get the one with the face with the green in it. That one attracted me to that. I think it's because it's money.
Yes, I'm an ambassador. I actually have a $15,000 watch for being part of the ambassador program, and it's called the El Presidente. So on every marker on the watch, I've got a real diamond and rose gold, and they're just really nice watches. So Brian, it's been a really tough year, and we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel now. We're opening back up a little bit. The entertainment industry, artists, it has been a very difficult year for artists, especially singers that can't go on stages, and actors that have been having to social distance, and it's affected sets, films, etc. What can we do to help artists all around the world, Brian?
To come on our shows, not only like your show, Brilliant Business, with Mark Steven Pooler, but it's one of those things where if you come on our shows, we can give you a different reach, whether it's a county, whether it's a state, whether it's a country. Those things are important. Again, not everybody can spend money on, it makes no sense to do it, to give it to Facebook or Instagram Live. You're only reaching certain audiences, and everything is limited. However, when you're doing stuff, say for movie reviews and more, or with one of the girls, it's that brand, it's that spider web that reaches out and touches different things. I don't have a lot of followers on my social media network, but I do have 97 million followers in my social media network, if that makes sense. It's the people that I have who are part of what we do. One of them's Nikki Lee. Nikki Lee's got 6 million followers. I've seen her work her butt off, going from before she got to a million followers on her Instagram. She was at 911,000. She went down to 902. In that 30-day period, I watched her work her butt off, get over 1 million. She's at 1.3 million right now, just on her Instagram. She's got 4.5 million on her Facebook. She's got 282 on her Twitter. And, I don't even know what she has on her TikTok, but she works her butt off, and she's one of our influencers. The Collins family, that whole family is 55 million of my followers because anytime I would show up with them, I'm walking in with my followers. I'm walking in with my influencers, if that makes sense, to a gathering. I was inviting them to things that they would never be invited to.
I agree with you totally. I love mainstream media, and I do hope at some point to get into mainstream, Brian. But never, never, never underestimate the power of social media, digital media, having podcasts, radio, web TV interviews where they get syndicated, they boost your Google footprint, and you never know who is watching, Brian. I totally agree with you. Even if you just connect with one person, like the person you have just mentioned, who has got an audience of 1 million, I think some people do underestimate the power of digital media over mainstream, and I think that's a big mistake. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do agree with you, because here's the thing. You have to always be evolving, adapting, and adjusting. This is the new world. If you can't do those three things, your business is not going to make it, and neither will you. So literally, if your business doesn't make it, you may not make it in life in general, and that's not good. We've had enough people die last year. Last year was my best year ever, because I saw this coming in 2018. Yes. We started working on it May of 2018. October 3rd, 2018, I sent out the first email warning cruise ships, warning, Regal theaters out of Tennessee. What happened to theaters last year? Nothing.
Yes.
They're attempting to make a comeback, but here's the thing. Are they prepared for what's about to happen because the world has changed? The answer is no. They think they're going back to 2018, 2019, and you can't go back. That's not how it works. You have to be able to go forward and adapt and adjust to the new change. If you can't do that, you're not going to make it. And yes, you will even lose your life. And that's just a basic fact. And that's not scaring anybody. That's just the reality of stuff.
Now, I know you're so passionate about this, Brian. I'm going to make sure I pronounce it correctly as well. Tell us all about the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. I know this is a topic you are really passionate about.
Well, the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch is really where you can afford sustainability, environmentally friendly, and net zero. It's in Northern California. It's a place where artists can come. Now, artists and artisans can be poetry. It could be LGBT community. It could be something where you're a singer and you don't know where to go get heard. It could be an independent filmmaker, but it's also people who have lost their places of living. So you can also have affordable housing for like tiny houses. We have a tiny restaurant that we're going to be building. We have a tiny winery, tiny brewery, all on between 31, 36 acres. And the whole thing about that is it's about having that place where people can have that community. And for individuals of all races, all sexual orientation, gender, culture, religion, there's no animosity. There's no judgment. And that's really, really important in today's world. But also being sustainable and environmentally friendly. So 10 acres of growing your own food. Just think about that. It's never been processed, the soil. No contaminating, no fracking, no fire on that. That's unusual. And then the other thing about that is also having those places where someone like you can come and talk and mentor kids who might be of high risk. They need mentoring of where to do something. So call us crazy, but we're going to be creating those new crazies that have come from things that are different, and imagine what will happen for them because they're being mentored and tutored in a new way. And that's really, really great. It's almost like sending them to, if you're watching baseball or soccer or football, to the junior leagues of developing them. Well, we get to develop these people on our own. And imagine if you like what I'm doing, watch and see the people that we have coming up. We got some great people that you haven't even heard of yet, but they're all going to be in one place. So I always call up a toss up between going to Disneyland and for those people who've heard of the Sundance Film Festival that everybody wants to bring their films to or bring their products to, and technology. Again, some of the best technology is outside the US that's never been seen and never been heard of.
I'm checking my letterbox for an invitation soon, Brian.
Yeah, you're already coming. You're coming, and you're going to end up doing a show there, because the whole thing is, the one thing we have to work on is our broadband, because we're not relying on government. We're not relying on people. It's all about raising money for these people, because if you've given something, you get a chance to come see what you gave, what was developed out of that. That's something special.
Now we're coming into a new normal. The world is opening up slowly but surely. I still think there could still be obstacles along the way, because even though we're about to open up in a few weeks fully, they are saying that we may be going through a third wave at the same time. So that could totally mess things up. How safe do you think this new world's going to be at the moment? How safe with COVID and restrictions, etc., etc.?
Well, first of all, I want to say hi to Margaret, whoever she is.
Margaret Thorley, she's a dear friend.
And then there was another girl. I want to say hi to them. You always want to have Margaret.
She's coming too. She wants to come with us as well. Hi, Margaret. Great to see you.
Well, here's the thing. And Tahiri, hi there. It's one of those things where people will be invited because we want people to come to see who didn't believe in what we were creating, who didn't know how we were doing it. You get it. Like I said, it's like going to Disneyland. If you've never went to Disneyland, and where can you see Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars all in one place? You got to go to Disneyland in California. So we are the new Disneyland. We don't have to worry about being shut down. We own the property. It's environmentally friendly, it's sustainable, and net zero, meaning no plastic. So we are definitely here to help save Mother Earth, because Mother Earth we haven't been listening. So guess what's happening in climate change? Whether you believe it or not, it's happening. So we picked a spot in Northern California where we didn't have to worry about earthquakes because we're on granite. We don't have to worry about being too low up because we're in a higher altitude, but not too high because of altitude sickness, because of climate change, rising sea levels. When the animals are leaving Yosemite Park, that tells you something. When you see animals leaving, what does that tell you? They know something that we humans may not know if we're not paying attention. And we need to pay attention to all of these things, our surroundings from now on.
It sounds like a place I would like to live, Brian. Actually, I think it is the way that the world needs to be thinking, all about community, collaboration, environment. I think it's so important coming out of these pandemic. All of these issues are so important. As long as we can have the odd party, there's got to be parties.
We don't have to worry about that because we've created all that stuff. Remember, I said we got our own tiny brewery, our own tiny winery, our own tiny restaurant. And, it's on, like I said, between 31 and 36 acres, but it's as many as 542 acres because we want to leave the rest pristine, meaning we have plenty of trees. We will have 36 bees. So we'll have all of that stuff. So we have everything. Again, not relying on the government, not relying on any banking system because all of that will collapse,
My next question, Brian, branding. Branding is so important in business, and building a personal brand has never been so much important as it is now. Give us your views on branding.
Well, when it comes to movie reviews and more, the branding is really going back to our views and making sure that we capture those companies. If I say no to Coca-Cola and they've offered me $500,000, I don't drink Coca-Cola, first of all. It's got to be something that I like. It's got to be something that's useful to anybody. like UV lights. That's really, really important. So, or air purifiers for those people who have allergies and things like that, because again, the world has changed. So I like those brands like that. So when I'm using our 7.4 million views a day and counting now, because I start at 0 each day and add them up again, and it's gone up. It never stays still. It's always going up. I can go to those companies, say, here's my views. You can see it right here. You can see what's in Tennessee. You can see what's on YouTube, and you can see what's on other sites that we have, because we like to spread it on other sites. And then here's our Tuesday night shows, which are kicking butt. And I love that, because that's the pinnacle for me. It's like being on this show. This is your baby. It didn't just happen overnight, and people don't realize that. It's one of those things with your branding. That's your calling card. That's your new business cards. And I still believe in the old business cards. I still like to hand them out. That's very, very important.
I absolutely agree. And another thing as well, being a genuine person coming from your heart, I think that is the best way to grow business. And I know you have great values, Brian, and you really are about serving people. We are coming out of the old world into the new world. Let's talk about this a little bit for movie reviews and more, and for artists.
Well, coming out of the old world, which is what I was warning people about, again, May and October 3rd of 2018, I was calling these companies, say, hey, I want to help you guys. I want to help you guys survive. The small mom and pop companies, the smaller companies, and reaching out to the bigger companies. If you guys don't change the way you guys are doing business, you're going to find yourself left behind or even going out of business. And it's been very, very true. So being back in California after hibernating in Las Vegas, Nevada, I was at the house just getting stuff done because I knew what was going to happen. I always knew back after April 15th of this year, I was going to go back on the road doing stuff, being in the studio in Los Angeles, setting things up cross country, working on our Dreamweaver Artist Ranch in Northern California, getting these things going. Nothing is easy. And a lot of times they take time. Sometimes some things take a little bit more time than others, but obviously you can't give up on what you believe in, because again, if you're not believing in it, nobody else is going to believe in it, right?
That is exactly how I think. We are so like-minded, and sometimes we want things straight away. And in my experience, they never come straight away. You have to work hard, take lots of action, perseverance. But then you realise sometimes it is about the journey as well. And there's so many lessons that you learn along the way. And then when you finally get to that goal, you appreciate it so much more because of the journey that you have had along the way. Now, you are super busy. I've seen you working with A-list celebrities. I'm so jealous. I've seen you doing such great shows, really helping companies that really matter to you. I know you do lots of things with environment and green projects. So my next question is a really simple one, Brian. What is new for Brian Sebastian? Have you got time for anything new? Because to me, it seems you are working on so many different projects.
Yeah, I'm in the last 16 days of tightening everything up, meaning fine-tuning our Tuesday shows, starting to get by between August and, let's say, after September 7th, our Labor Day, adding our second hour, because we're booked until, the end of October right now, going into November. I mean, if I made 10 more phone calls, I'd be booked until the end of the year. But there's no room to put someone else in. If George Clooney say, hey, I want to come on your show, I don't have room for George. I can't bump someone that's already been scheduled. And time goes quick. So I want to make sure that those people who are lesser known can get their stories out, can tell their stories about, hey, I got a new company I want to start. Okay, that could be interesting. Let's see what happens. If it's environmentally friendly, sustainable, I want to have first pick at that. I want to find those individuals who are really working their butt off, on their Instagram or their Facebook or their Twitter. I want to be able to help them because I know what it's like not to have that following. So all the stuff that we've done has been groundwork and slowly, steady. It's like an oak tree. We can always be those willows. We bend, but we don't break. And that's very, very important when it comes to that. And then the other thing is, again, things take a lot longer And it's one of those things where you just have to stick with it. And that's not always easy. And then a lot of times you don't always have that person to help support you. And we all need that.
Again, it's going back to service and really supporting those people that deserve the exposure, they deserve the visibility, but they're struggling to get that recognition what they deserve. And I think we have both been there, Brian. So I think that's why we do what we do now that we have these platforms. I know it's so rewarding for me when I'm interviewing people and I see your passion too, and that's why we get along as well. We are coming to the end of the show, Brian. I could talk to you all day, but I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you. Would you just leave us with a few wise words for any artists, creatives, entrepreneurs that may be out there watching who've had a tough time this last year? Give them a few words of wisdom.
Well, if you're the smartest one in the room, obviously you're in the wrong room. That's one thing. The other thing is you got to surround yourself with those people that are energetic, that are thinking outside the box. I always say I'm hovering above the box. You got to find those people like that. They're out there. They're far and few, but they're there. And also you have to be open to new suggestions. You may not be ready for it, but that doesn't mean that you should not attempt it. Always be creating, driving yourself to do it. Initiating things, building things, put the intention in there. Be careful with what the words that you say. Don't say try, because trying is an excuse to do things. Always be building things and keep going.
Brian, thank you so much for coming on to Brilliance Business TV. I've really enjoyed having you on the show.
Hey, appreciate it. I'll come back anytime, Mark.
I'm sure we're going to be doing lots more together, Brian. We've got mine in August. We will definitely be doing lots more together. So once again, thank you for coming on to Brilliance Business TV. Thank you everyone for watching Brilliance Business TV. We have been joined with Brian Sebastian, the guy that was underestimated but had a huge vision, perseverance like no one else in the room. Today is the host, producer, TV, radio host of movie reviews and more, and gets millions and millions of views and helps his clients to get the exposure and recognition that they deserve. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.